That,
Okay,
go ahead.
so when you're dealing with AI, and we've had computers which help you spell words, help you put phrases together.
Right.
Is AI an expansion of what's
Yes.
already here
That is,
versus a new thing,
yeah, AI is basically something
an
new.
evolution
It's an evolution. Yes, it's an evolution, and this is a big evolution that's happening right now. It's happening so fast that we just are really trying to wrap our heads around it in terms of what it actually can do and where it can go.
well,
And
some people are already using it for
yeah,
mischievous
yeah,
things and paper. You didn't put in, and that is, for white folks call it national security. I call it national oppression. But because they're using it over there in Hamas right now. I
right.
mean, using artificial intelligence, drones, programming drones and things. This and that. They're using them for war.
Yeah, it's
Everything the
used for
white
war.
man get, he gonna turn it into a war machine, a violent machine.
That's what drones are. Drones are using artificial intelligence to fly over and surveil. And that's what the surveillance, that's why I said smart enforcement is using AI to police citizens.
Well, they're using it in war too.
They're using it in war. Yeah. And that's one of the things that ChatGPT, OpenAI, which is a company, when it was first put together, they had a policy to not create any for the military purposes, but they have changed their policy. So yeah, you have AIs that are strictly for the military to help them gain leverage in wartime. So yes, it is being used, and I think it's going to be used more and more. And as you see in my presentation, you're going to see where this is going because what did we learn? What did we learn last year? Well, we learned that there are many types of AI, but they're not all engineered the same. And I'm going to demonstrate three different AI apps that I wanted to share. Video AI has the potential to change perception of reality. And that's the thing that's really new is what the video AI can do. Basically, generating videos and interpreting what's in a video. So now there's a lot going on with the video side. And so uh, you have something called industry standards for an AI that they're trying to, come up with, where you have glass box AI, where you can see what the decision the AI is making, and you can trace how it made its decision. But then you have something called black box AI, to where it's just making a decision and nobody knows how it came up with that decision. Okay, so that's what's happening. You have a term called glass box and black box AI. And so what does that mean? Well, it means that there are regulatory challenges with explainable AI. I mean, we need to have an explanation, but there's also some issues with explainable AI, and I'm going to talk about that in just a minute, as well as corporate battles for market leadership. A lot of these big companies right now are trying to get control. They're trying to come up with their own AI, introduce it to the public, and say, okay, we got the best one. But the thing is, a lot of these AIs are made differently. It's kind of, think of it like clay. You can mold it into what you want it to be. Okay. And so a lot of these companies are trying to get a handle on, okay, I got the best one. You got Microsoft, you got ChatGPT, you got Amazon, you got Google. You have all these companies using some of the same systems, but they're manipulating them to be used in different platforms or different industries.
And they marketing them.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're starting to market them. I mean, ChatGPT is one, you got Google, you got Bard. And so there's a lot going on with that. And so also government municipalities are beginning to use AI a lot. I mean, that's what the surveillance cameras on the street giving you tickets. I know that in LA or somewhere I saw on the news where about 6 or 7 jurisdictions are trying to identify people using cannabis in the vehicle. And so AI is going to be able to determine if you're smoking a cigarette or a blunt or whatever it is. I don't know. So, but that's what's happening. They're testing out some of these AIs in the community. And so for me, when I look back on 2023, this has been a landmark year and one of the greatest revolutions in technology to date, when you think about it. But a lot of people are distracted and just kind of stuck on the aspect of entertainment. And so you got to understand that AI is really critical and it's affecting all industries. And so what is the benefit? The benefit of explaining an AI is it makes it more trustworthy, regardless of what it does, but we need to, we need to trust it. But how do you trust it? The only way you're going to trust it is if you have some type of interpretation and explaining on what it is and what it does. And so also improving the overall system. So if you have an AI that you can explain kind of how it's making decisions, then it's going to improve the overall AI system. And that's what's happening this year. A lot of people are starting to be aware and be made aware of some of the issues. And also, if you can explain what's happening, you can provide insight against an adversarial attack where you have an AI that's basically giving out false information, information that's wicked, or information that is really, really, trying to fulfill a different agenda from what it was meant to. And also safeguarding against bias. Okay, because that's one of the things that we need to understand. Regardless of what AI it is, if it's something that can be fine-tuned, then it has the potential to have bias. But you have to measure bias by understanding how it works. And so that's what I wanted to talk about. So what are the limitations? The limitations of AI in explaining it is you could have somebody oversimplify and misrepresent a complicated system, which is really, really critical. And also the model's performance. If you, which to me is not that big of a deal, because model performance means how well is your AI performing, meaning a lot of times is just how fast it is. Can it execute this many decisions at this many times? Well, it's going to be a little slower if you got to explain what it did and then display that back to the end user. But it's an important piece of it. Okay. Also, it is difficult to train a system to explain reasoning, and they haven't got that one down yet, but they're trying to work on it. And I'm going to show you some of the deep psychological things that we as humans can do that they're trying to mimic and they have achieved. Okay. Now we're talking about reasoning. Remember, reasoning, have an AI reason, and that's all based on language and math. And also privacy. If you have an AI that's explaining stuff, it's going to have access to some private information. And who owns that information? Where does that information reside? How long is that information being held on a platform? So there's a lot of stuff that goes into these methodologies. And so I want to talk about this one, which is called Deep Lift. If you've never heard of it, it's just an algorithm that's used in DNA analysis in healthcare. And it's an algorithm that helps you explain everything that's happening with your neural network or your algorithm. It looks at everything, all the inputs and all the outputs, and then has a way of you being able to interpret how the AI made a decision. And a lot of these algorithms are free and open source for you to play with to figure out your own system. Okay. And then when you're dealing with some of these larger ones, you're going to have to lease it to make your own business or your own application for whatever it is you want to do. And so Deep Lift is one that's been around, I think, for a while, but it's also used. So I just want to share that algorithm for you guys can research and check it out. And I'll read some of this, but um, Deep Lift is used in the field of healthcare. Its primary purpose is to understand the attributes and contributions of different features of a neural network. So Deep Lift helps you understand everything that's going on in your network. And what it does is it just compares things in each neuron, because a neural network is like your brain. You have different neurons. It looks at every neuron and applies different scores to the input. So it's something that's really used to interpret, because you can trace back, okay, how did it make this decision based on this or that? Okay. And it's used in healthcare and finance right now. And it's very transparent. And it's really important for where accountability is essential. We're like in healthcare. So Deep Lift is one that's been around. And so, I just wanted to share that one with you guys. And then it helps with interpretability because it describes the possibility of comprehending the model and understand how it made the decision, which is really important. But here's the problem. on this next bullet, it says there is no consensus definition for explainability. So when you talk up to different AI specialists and experts, there's really no clear definition of what does explainability mean. Because if you have an AI that's doing something rogue or something wrong, you can just kind of explain it away. But if you have interpretability in the AI, then you can really get down to the nitty gritty and explain, okay, this is how it made this decision. I can see how this output is. So you got to understand that interpretability is a collection of features that you can that contribute to the decision that the AI has made.
What happened?
And so when you're talking about the next one, as far as interpretability, it makes it possible to confirm existing knowledge that the AI has, challenge existing knowledge, and generate new assumptions. So we got to be able to generate new assumptions and understand how it made its decision. So that's why we need to have AIs that's interpretable. And that's the thing why regulation is needed, because if we have these big corporations bringing some of these AIs to retail market and people are using them, well, is it black box? Is it glass box? What are the decisions that are being made? How are they being made? What's happening? So that's kind of one of the concepts that I wanted to share with you guys on that. And why should we?
So are you saying AI have access to a multiplicity of information systems, and it can draw from in order to provide answers and things of that nature? In other words, we're used to humans putting information in the computer.
Right.
Whereas it seems as if AI have access to think tanks and to scientific, innovative, educational institutions, and can draw from a universe of knowledge.
That is correct.
Or do it creates its own knowledge?
Well, it depends on how you trained it. It depends on how you train your network. So if you trained your neural network to have all the knowledge related to sports, you can create an AI application that has everything you need to know about sports. If you wanted if you want to train it to do other things, you can do that. And then you can connect it to application programming interfaces that will give it even more information.
And is that because all the information is in the cloud, and so it can access
Yeah.
it through the cloud?
Yes, it can access it through the web, through the internet, cloud databases, or different platforms that are already existing. And I'm gonna share with you some of these platforms that are being used that they're tied into and what they've done. And so that's a great question.
Brother Hood.
Yeah, what's up?
So we've been going for about 25 minutes, 30 minutes.
Okay.
We want to see if Mashinda, Chihuahua, or Brother DX have a question so far.
Okay. Go right ahead.
Brother Mashinda, question?
No questions right now. Listening.
Okay. Brother Chihuahua? Okay. Brother DX?
I'm just gonna say my comment till later.
Okay.
I
Go
want to
ahead,
hear the
brother.
rest of it.
Go ahead, Brother Hood.
All right. So as I'm researching some of this stuff, I'm looking at, okay, how are they going to make an AI reason? How can an AI reason? Because remember, they're trying to mimic what we as humans do. Okay. But how can they make it reason? They haven't gotten to that part yet. They're trying. But one of the things that I see is a lot of researchers are arguing about looking at symbols, symbolic regression, basically looking for algorithm where there's spaces in math where they could fit some kind of new data to make a decision on what they meant by reasoning something. So it's kind of a really like I would say the Wild West when it comes to trying to figure out how they're going to make it reason. And it's still a lot of unanswered questions on that. It has not been perfected, but this is where they're trying to get to, because you have to be able to interpret what this AI is doing to really have trust in it. And so that's one of the things I want to share on that slide. And so when you talk about trust, working together between agents, like algorithms and humans relies on people to be able to believe in what the algorithm is suggesting to even trust it. There's a lot of criteria, and it's kind of hard to improve on things. So you need to aim for transparency, interpretability, and explainability. So these are the steps you need to make it to make it trustworthy. Because you can have an AI that works fine, but over time, there could be some hallucinations. There could be some things that happen. There could be some facts that are just totally incorrect. And so this is crucial in medicine and fields, in medicine and things. And so I wanted to talk about something in medicine where they use something called a clinical decision support system, where they're using AI right now. And so what this is it's basically healthcare professionals trying to grasp why a machine algorithm reached the decision. Okay. And this helps build the trust and enhances the process. And this is an example. And this is similar to an example of what a large AI system would look like. But this is a diagram basically for a clinical decision support system. So you have project managers tied into it. You got system designers. You got support staff, system developers. You got architects. You got administrators. Then you have the end user. And then on the other side, you got a sales and marketing team looking at how we can leverage our profits. And so you have all these things working to make this system operate. And so if something's wrong, you have to be able to explain why it went wrong and then fix it or take that offline and start over again. Because this is what I see happening. People relying more and more and more on these systems, like the lawyer who did a brief that had a fake case that it was referencing and he got sanctioned in court. Humans are getting lazy. Some of them are, hey, just click a button and it'll do everything for you. No, you have to do your due diligence. So when you're talking about AI and you're talking about healthcare and all these systems that are coming in place to make things faster, how is it making that decision? How can they explain that? That's really critical. And so that's what this slide represents.
Brother Hood,
What's up?
now, with you explaining all of this, all of these entities to deal with, it's based around AI, correct?
Correct.
Do you see that as further complicating things? Like you have an efficient system that works.
Mm-hmm.
Now you bring in AI and you have all of these entities that have to input. Do you see that as more confusing or making it, more complicated than it should be? Do you see that or what?
Well, it depends on its application for AI. Like if you just have an AI that's monitoring for people who it doesn't recognize on your property, then that's a good thing. You know what I'm saying? Like if you have an AI monitoring, surveilling all the then that's a good thing. But if your AI is alerting, some information based on who input the information, but it can't explain, how it got in there, then yeah, it can't complicate the thing, the AI. So you have to look at the application of the AI. How is it being used that can make it more complicated? Because you don't need everybody in the process to identify, certain things. But yeah, it's basically taking more people out of the loop and relying on AI to make the decision. So it can complicate the situation where there may not necessarily need to be questions on it. But there's ways of getting around that by really doing your due diligence and testing your application, looking for all the commonalities and all the things that are errors. You got to look at the errors.